Hey guys, so we have something a little bit different today. We have the car who won the Boola Bash Enduro at Piranha Raceway. This is the car that Team High Speed won with almost 2,315 laps. It's a very special car. The car was very fast. The whole race, the car was kind of unbeatable. Sometimes you have a couple cars that are a little bit faster than this one, but this was the green dot that we saw passing by a lot of times. We raced it. I raced with Danny Sansom and Ed Shore, Team Autorama. We came in sixth, but this was the car to beat. So we're gonna open up and see what's going on here. Okay, guys. So here it is, the car from High Speed Team, the car who won the Bula Bash Enduro 2023 at Piranha Raceway. This is a 124 scale retro car, NASCAR, 4.5 inches between the axles. And if you want to check out the rules, if you go on Slot Blog, it's easy. It's easy to find the rules for that enduro, the NASCAR enduro, the Bula Bash. It's the only enduro that we race with the retro guys. I've been participating like for 3 years ago. Maybe it was my first participation, maybe four. I got a podium once. It's a very hard race to run, and if you don't have the right car, you're not a contender. So we use Lexan bodies, of course. It's a 124 scale car. As you can see, they put number 2 here. It's a very nice paint job on the sides, very light tube. Sometimes you can see through the car. The driver is not here. They're supposed to have a driver with this body. The driver needs to cover the whole mechanical car. So apparently this was the way that it finished the race, but with the driver, and I'm missing the driver and I'm missing the lane sticker. You need to show all the wheels, of course, and there's a distance that you need to calculate here in the back. They were running with, let me see, very complicated, 158, which I think was the limit, very close to 158. So if you can see here in the camera, there's a little spoiler over here that was glued from the inside. Very interesting. Usually you glue this from the outside. So glued from the inside. There's a little spoiler here, and this is the body. Again, should have like a driver to cover the whole thing. Let me see how much this car weighs. But before doing that, let me show you the chassis. So this is the chassis. It's a hand built, custom made for this car, 4.5 inches, as I say. This is a chassis built by Dominic Longo from Dominator Chassis. This is a very famous chassis builder from the East Coast. And sometimes he sends some chassis over here and people who are very successful with it. So let's try to break down this chassis for you guys. Of course, the body is painted to the chassis, like little cloth pins. If you're not familiar with this is the way to go on the 124th world. Again, this is very different of what we did in the past. Here's the body, some reinforcements here. So the body should move less this way, like sideways. You lose speed like that. You have some reinforcements here because as soon as you hit the car, this is the first thing that moves. So you need some reinforcements here inside. My car, they have it outside because I need the room here to clear the wheels. As you can see, this is the product of a lot of hits during 3 hours of the enduro. But the car, the body is in pretty nice shape. There are just a few dings and dents here and there. And this is the oil that you oil your car a lot. Those cars, they consume a lot of oil. You need to always be oiling the bushings and the ball bearings. So this is the body. So coming back to the chassis, I know by a fact that they took this plate off. This is something that Dominic sent as an option. And you can just easily take a pin out over here, see, and the pen comes out. So I know by a fact that they raced this way, and now we can kind of figure out the correct weight of the car. So let's put this guy here. We just throw the body here just to see, just to have an idea of how much. Let me see here. So 106. 106 plus the driver. I believe this car was weighing around 109, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. Some people try to do under 100, but I think for that track, the track is just too fast for that. So let's see the chassis. The chassis is a very interesting chassis. It's a one-pen chassis with 3 rails. So here we have the chassis, and let's see, they have rails at 64, I believe, 74. It's hard to measure on the sideways like that. Well, let me see. Let me try to grab one. 45. Look at this. 45. So they have 3 rails of 45 connecting the front of the pan straight to the motor in the back. In the back there is no a bracket like they usually have on those cars. This is just a pin. There's a tube. That's pretty nice construction. So we have 3 rails at 45, and this one is a little bent, so we have the angle to put the angle winder motor here. Again, it's a one-piece chassis. It's reinforced by this 45 wire here, connecting all the way to the back to the front, so the side pans are not bent during the race. And you have this whole reinforcement here in front too, trying to holding the wheels, the axle for the front wheels. One of the biggest secrets on those cars are always this distance here between the axle and the front guide. And the way that you measure is from the front of the axle to the middle of the guide. So right here you have almost 930, which is a big distance. Normally the cars that I saw, you put a little lower than that, almost at 700. So very innovative car, and it was working very well. As you can see, it's one-piece chassis, but there is some movement, and this movement is fixed by this little piece over here, so you can feel some movement here, but it's very minimal. Another interesting thing about this car, and I'm sorry, Bill Taylor, the owner of the car, thank you very much for letting us doing this, but I'm gonna disassemble. Take a look. This is a Mid-America medium wonder tire, and they told me that they start the race at 830, which is a big tire. This chassis, they need a 825 to pass tech, and they finished the race at 800, so the tire is 800. They use 3 sets of tires during the race, so there's a lot of tire consumption. And if they start at 830 and finish at 800, I don't know if they divided correctly between the races, but that's a lot of tire consumption. So I'm taking off. Very easy to take off the gear here. This is very important, so we can replace the motors fairly easy. The motor, it's CR102 from Chicagoland, from Mike Swiss. This is a very new. That's a very new motor. I think they came out like 3 or 4 months ago, maybe a little bit more. But the thing is, those magnets are very strong, so it's very hard to find the correct gear mesh here. So you can feel how hard it is, how harsh it is, the gear mesh. But this car was working great. If you take the axle off, you can see a little bit of oxidation. This car has been sitting here on my desk for 2 weeks now. Sorry, Bill. I will send the car back very soon. And the bearings are perfect. This is pretty cool. Like, there is no room on the bearings. I don't know the brand of the bearings they're using. I'm very particular about the bearings that I use, but look at this. Nothing. It's perfect. It can go another race. Another interesting feature is the Cofor axles that have space to put the wheels on and the gears on, so they never escape. I don't know how it calls we can call this in English, but here it is. If you want to see, there's a space for the gear too, so the gear will never escape. That's a very important feature in a 3-hour enduro. Look at this. It's right there. So you can just set the set screw over there, and you're safe for the whole race. Another interesting thing about those tires, those are medium wonder rubber with carbon fiber hubs. You see, they move a little bit. This is very good if you go around deep corners, but some chassis, they don't accept it very well. Another thing that happens on those cars, you have a lot of wiggle room here after the race if you're not properly set up. This is not the case. This wheel is perfect and spinning. There is no room here, both of them. This one has a little bit more. This is the one that go outside of the donut, so there's a lot of stress on this one, but it's kind of perfect too. So what else I can tell you? I believe they changed the braids several times, so there's nothing to judge here. I don't know when was the last time that they changed the braids. Interesting setup here for the front wires. You can see the holder is soldered to the axle, not to the chassis, and they make like a turn over here to have this movement here. So every time that the car deslots, the guides stay still and straight. Some room here, that's something that I never leave on my cars, but again, this car was the winner. So who am I to judge? He's using the Danny Sanson's hairy guide nuts, and the guide's not pinned. That's something that people use on those Enduros. They put a pin through the guide here that goes all the way down, and to hold it, because if you have a crash or something, the guide will not break. He's using the JK terminals. Those are, I believe, not Parma, but some black wires. And I don't know the brand of this guide. I believe it's a Red Fox, but you guys can comment and tell me which guide is that, but I really don't know. So again, this is the high-speed car, winner of the 3-hour Boola Bash Enduro. Drivers were Jeremy Marquette, Bill Taylor, the owner of the car, and Mickey Johnston. Chassis built by Dominic Luongo from Dominator Chassis. Mike Swiss Chicagoland motor using a 1438 gear ratio. Medium Wonder Mid-America carbon fiber tires. Comfort axles. I don't know the brand of the bearings. And the JK NASCAR 4.5 body. That's it for this car. This is a good breakdown. I hope you enjoy it. I've learned a lot. I need to build a new car. Our car this year was not that competitive. And this is a great way to figure out what those guys are doing correctly. Hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you very much.